Well, hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to the stream and another chapter. Working on this guy right here. That's our GMC Syclone by Revell. It's an older kit. We're going to be working on that. So let's run the intro and let's get started. What are we doing? Well, we got the engine pretty much assembled, okay? Pretty much. And last time we finished it off just painting the exhaust manifolds on it, doing a little bit of the rust on them, making them a little bit old and a little bit rusty, just like they are from the factory almost all the time. So let's just continue on with this and we'll just get right into it, okay? I'll change the camera and we'll get going. We'll see what we're doing next, okay? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so once again, we go back to our instructions and we left off at step number 5 where we are supposed to put our exhaust manifolds on. Okay, so let's take a look at them. Got them right here. Okay, got those painted up, so let's get those off the sprue and we will see how they fit. Let's get these off of here. Now on the actual exhaust pipes that are going down underneath the truck, I've kind of left those silver. I haven't really decided whether I want to do any kind of, heat weathering or something like that. I might, I think I will. I'm going to do a little bit of blue on there. I'm going to use this stuff. I don't use this stuff very often. AK Interactive's True Metal, this is kind of an oil and it's blue. And so what it does, if I can get I'll get a little notepad out here. Okay. Just fold this up. So it's kind of an oil paint. Okay. I don't use this stuff very often at all. It sits there and collects dust for the most part. Don't really use it. Because it's really just specifically for doing very light, subtle kind of stuff. It's meant to be blended in. So you can see it's oil based, so you get to see it getting in there. So I want very, very light amounts, little amount on my brush. And I'm going to put it just on this edge here. Just kind of dab it on a little bit, like this, just to do a very subtle kind of blue tint on it to show that we've got a little bit of some blue staining on there. Perfect. That's all I needed. Just a little bit. It's very subtle. That's all I want. I'm going for subtlety on this. Okay. So we'll just clean this up. And that's really all I needed to do. And I'm happy with that. It's very subtle. And that's all I want. Now my exhaust manifolds, I think they're a little bit too bright rust. Too much of a bright rusty color. I think I want to darken them up a little bit. So I have Rust Texture Matte from Revell. So we're going to use a little bit of this because it's really a dark. As you can see, it's very dark. I want to do just a little bit on here and just darken this up a little bit. Almost dry brushing it. A little bit more on here. Especially on the inside here. There we go. That looks a little bit better to me. Let's do a little more on my brush here. I'll start on the inside because this is not really going to be seen very much. As you can see, I got a lot more on my brush, so I want to dry this up a bit. Kind of blend this in a little bit here. Blend that in. Good. Okay, now one looks a little worse than the other. Let's just get this one looking the same. There we go. All right. Okay, I think that's enough painting on our exhaust manifolds. Speaking of which, I want to do a little bit on the catalytic converter here. And on our drive shaft. Seeing in reference photos the drive shaft, I got a reference photo of this truck in real life, and the drive shaft is just a really dark, super dark red rusty mess. So that's what I'm going to go for on this truck too. Okay, quick clean of the brush, and then we'll put our exhaust manifolds on the motor. And then we'll call that done. Okay. So, let's do a little test fit. Test fit, test fit. This one's going to go on this side. And we're going to line up our 3 pipes to our 3 little spots here, here, and here. Okay. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at it. It looks like we don't have any tabs or guides or anything like that. It's just glue it on. Right there. You could say it's a little hard to tell because it's black and it's molded in black, but there is a little bit of a little groove right in here on this pipe and on this pipe. And then on this, on the actual engine, we've got this little spot right here and this little spot right here, and that's supposed to be our guide as to where the pipe goes. So we're going to try and line that up on there like this, and the pipe seems to go right underneath the transmission, kind of right there. They've got it so it just fits underneath there. But I don't like what our little ejector pin marks are doing to it here. So we're going to clean those up. This one looks pretty gnarly on here. Let's see if I can trim it. My nippers don't want to trim it. Be very careful. I am working very close to my fingers here. This isn't a spot that's really going to be seen very much, but it is actually going to interfere with the fit just a little bit. It looks like I got it. So if I get this in the right spot, so here's a little problem. There's a little ridge on the side of the transmission here, and it's preventing the pipe from sitting exactly where it needs to be, on the head. If I line it up on the head, it doesn't want to line up here. But I think I got it with that little bit of trimming on the transmission. I think I got it where it needs to be. Just like that. Okay, I think I'm ready for some glue. But before I do this, we're going to check the other side first. Let's see how the other side fits. We don't have the huge ejector pins on this side like we did on the other side, so we'll see how this fits. Line those up on the head, on the cylinder head, just like so. And how are we doing here? It looks like, again, we're trying to line it up on the transmission. But also at the same time, kind of the transmission prevents it from lining up. It looks like our exhaust flange that connects the pipe, the down pipe, to the exhaust manifold is too big. And of course we got the parting seam, which, you know, gives evidence that this is not a pipe. So I need to clean that up. Should have cleaned that up before. And now that I'm doing it on that side, I should do it on this side. Since I'm going to have my aluminum paint out to touch this up anyway, I might as well get this done before I'm committing to actually putting it on the model. This side is particularly not good looking. Okay, so with that said, and now I need to touch that up. So we need our flat aluminum. Before I put it on the engine, I want this painted and done. So let's touch these spots up. These spots that you might see, you might not. It's really going to be subjective, right? I don't know how visible they're going to be underneath and when it's finally all said and done. But I also want it to look good, right? After all, the guy who's commissioned me to build this for him, he's gonna want it to look good, so I want it to look good. All right, so let's get back to this. I think the flange needs to be a little bit trimmed right here. Just cut that off just a hair because it's hitting the engine block. That sits a little bit nicer, so I'm going to glue this side on first. Okay. There we go. I'll let that sit for a second, and then I'll put a little glue. So it's touching the engine, the transmission right there. So I'm going to put a little glue there too. Just so now we actually have a different spot where it's actually going to be held in place. We'll give that a second to dry. Okay, a second or 5 while we take a look at what else is next. So while we're waiting for one of the headers or exhaust manifolds to dry, let's take a look at our transfer case. It's supposed to go on the back of the transmission. So we need to get number 45 and 44. Now, I did find those on the sprue before, and I painted them aluminum already. That's these two pieces here, 44 and 45. So let's get those off. I had my aluminum paint in my airbrush, I did a few different things all around on the screws to get them ready, so that when it came to actually doing this with you guys, then I wouldn't have to keep stopping to paint something aluminum all the time. Okay, so these two are going to go together. A couple of guide pins, hopefully they line up nicely. And they do not. Well, they do okay. Alright, so there's our transfer case. Let's glue this together. It is very evident that I didn't get equal coverage all the way around it. As you can tell, this is much brighter aluminum than this is. And then of course this is bright aluminum and this isn't. So I am going to have to repaint, but I'm not going to do it in the airbrush. I will use a regular brush. Once again, grabbing a brush and having to clean it afterwards. I apologize, guys, having to keep on painting everything instead of building. I'm trying to show you the build, not the paint. So I'll just touch this up. Fortunately, it's a transfer case, so it doesn't really matter exactly how nice it looks. I do want to grab it in a different spot. Let's grab my tweezers. And we'll just kind of do this. There we go. And we'll get this little coat of paint. There we go. Okay. We've got an aluminum transfer case now. Now my exhaust manifold should have cured enough that I can put the other side on. So let's do this, put it in its spot, hold it there. Glue and glue. You're not supposed to lift with my fingers, you're supposed to stay on your spot. There. Now this one is also touching on the bottom of the transmission, right where the pipe bends around underneath. So the little dab of glue in there. And we'll let that sit on that side. All right. So, and of course, that was enough time for the transfer case paint to dry. The transfer case goes onto the back of the transmission. And this big hole here, you basically can't screw it up. It goes like this. Nice and easy, nice and simple. So, I'll put that on there like that. Then, I keep on closing my glue bottle. Glue there, make sure we've got lots of glue. There we go. Give it a little push just to make sure it's set properly. And all things equal, that should be good enough. It seems to be not flush, not flat. So I'm gonna just do it as straight as I can, looking like it's straight. It looks pretty straight. I I suppose we'll see just how straight it is. And of course, I put the engine down. It's going to go on it. So we're just going to set the engine. Hey, nope, that didn't work. We're going to lean the engine up against something. There. Stay. Okay. So that's it for step number 6. Okay, so our exhaust is on, transfer case is on. Step number 7. Let's get this open here. Step number 7. So we've got our intake plenum and our turbo. So let's take a look at those. Intake plenum, I already have half of it here. I took it off the sprue so that I could paint it up. This was chrome. So what I did is I scraped a bunch of the chrome off of it, and then I painted it aluminum like it's supposed to be, and then a couple of silver spots that are supposed to be silver based on my reference photos, and we have that piece. And then we have this piece here. They call this the hose/tank, although it's not a hose, but it is a tank. Let's get this off of the sprue, and we're going to put our two pieces together. And since we're doing it next, we might as well get our turbos off of there. There we go. Okay, so I think we're going to get that blue paint out again. If I can get that piece of paper out of here without really messing it up. Yes. We're going to touch up our little pipes on here because I think the blue heat staining would be very appropriate on turbos. There we go. If I had purple, I would do purple also. As you see that a lot, kind of a blue and purpley kind of mixture of stuff. I think I do actually have a purple. Bear with me a minute. I'm going to take a look. I do have purple, I believe. I do have purples. I do have the purple, but we're not going to do that. I'm going to mix a little bit of the light rust. This is almost an orange. Come on out of there. Okay. Dry off that brush a little bit. Okay. Gab that away a little bit. Okay. That looks kind of realistic. A little bit of blue, a little bit of rust. A little bit of everything going on. After all, it's not a brand new truck. This truck was built in 1991, and therefore it's got some stuff going on. It's seen some stuff. It's raced a few Ford Lightnings in its day. And won, right? It did. Beat them. These things were faster. It was the fastest production truck at the time in the world. with only 288 horsepower. You know, your average 5-liter F-150 nowadays has over 400 horsepower. And yet this thing only had like 288 or something like that, and yet it was the fastest truck on the road back then. Okay, so our two plenums here, they're going to go together just like this. Okay. So I do want to scrape a little bit of paint off on this edge. I'm going to help the glue do its job. Just by scraping away a little bit of paint. Okay. So that when we put the glue in there, it can actually do its thing. Now I'm actually going to glue it from underneath. It's kind of unconventional of me, but that's what I'm going to do. So there's that assembly together now, just like that. Just make sure it's all good together. Yes. All right. Now putting the turbo on the engine, I'm going to have to refer to this here. It looks like one of the pipes from the turbo is going to this top pump sort of thing. They do show a little picture here for it and how it's supposed to go together. It looks a little unique. Of course, they've removed the headers in the picture. I say header, but it's exhaust manifold. So let's see if I can figure this out. This, like this. There's no... It's kind of hard to tell exactly how that's supposed to go on there. Other than I know it's supposed to go like this, but see, they do show I have these on backwards. I just realized that these are backwards. No wonder it doesn't want to fit. They're backwards. Look at that. I'm putting these exhaust manifolds on like it's a conventional car, but these pipes are supposed to go forward, not towards the back. They go forward on it and meet underneath. I had them backwards the whole time. That means this one goes on this side and goes like this and goes underneath their front crank pulley, and then this one goes on here and it meets it under there like that. Well, how about that? So let's get these up into their spots if we can. Get that glued on the cylinder heads. There we go. Let's see. How do you tell that I've never built a turbo car without saying you never built a turbo car? The giveaway for me was that it was showing a pipe going up the front of the engine here like this. This pipe here in the diagram it was showing a pipe going up here that this was kind of connecting to like this, and I wasn't seeing it here on the engine. I was like, what the heck is going on? And sure enough, see, if we look at it here, the one turbo is supposed to connect. It's right here. Okay, the one turbo is supposed to be in line with that pipe that goes down towards the front like this. So that was the giveaway. I was like, where is this pipe? That's not on there. Well, sure enough, I had the exhaust manifold on backwards. So that means this is actually supposed to go somewhere around here. Now it's a little difficult. Maybe it's supposed to go like this. They haven't really got a strong, definitive spot for me to attach it. It's just kind of a little bit guessing. There is kind of a little notch. There's kind of a little notch right here. That could be where they're trying to get me to put this pipe right in there. Possibly just like this. Something like that. Just not necessarily at that angle. Maybe something like this. They do want this pipe to kind of line up right along here. That's where it's showing in the diagram. Literally right along this line. So the top of the pipe here should be lined up right in there like that. So if I get it like that, that in theory is where it's supposed to be. There's a few spots where it's touching and it's connecting. That I could, in theory, put some glue on. So it's kind of touching here and here on the exhaust manifold. Let's see if I can bring this up where it's supposed to be. Playing around with this so much while the glue is curing is not really recommended. I'll say that. Yeah, really. So I'm going to put a drop of glue here, right here, and here. Here. This is kind of where it's touching the two most significant parts. Like that. That seems to be where they want it to go, or at least very close to it. And so that's what we got. Okay, that's what I got, and that's where I've put it. Okay, so there we go with that. So they do show the intake or air filter, I guess. I don't know what that is. It's kind of the intake They show it assembled here, but they don't show it on the engine over here at all. They don't show exactly how it goes on, but it is fairly obvious. There are two little pins. There's a peg here and a peg here, and those are going to line up on top of the center of the intake manifold on the engine. Let's see if I can get away with this. Going up top here, she's going to go on like that. It goes on top like this. Kind of like that. So I'm okay with gluing that on. Slather some glue on there. Put our pegs in the holes. There we go. And there we go. I'll just hold that for a sec. So I'm not sure how the turbo goes into effect here as far as this being lined up with something under the hood. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, I've got a bit of a gap right there between the turbo and the exhaust pipe. So I don't know if that's supposed to be up higher so that the turbo fits up a little tighter against the engine. I really don't know. That's just kind of something I'm going to have to find out later, maybe. It looks like it wants to sit up higher, so I'm going to let it sit higher. We'll let it sit where it wants to. I'll add a little bit more glue now that I've moved it. So there we go. There's still a bit of a gap right up in there, but I'm not sure exactly. The instructions are a little ambiguous when it comes to showing you exactly how it's supposed to sit on this pipe, so I don't know. It's just the way it is. Okay. So there's that. Pick up my decals here. The next step, of course, is actually putting the engine to the chassis. So let's find our chassis. First, I'm going to find my coffee. Okay. Let's get the chassis off of the sprue here. Okay, there we go. So they show the engine just sitting down onto the chassis. There is a hole in the oil pan, and that's going to line up with this little peg right there. And as far as I can tell, that's the only thing that's going to line up, except maybe the transfer case is going to sit in between these two little notches here and here. We'll see. Now, with all of my everything being nice and wet, everything is nice and wet. So there's the hole at the front of the oil pan. So that should line up like this. This transfer case needs to go through here like that. Theory, get that to line up in the hole of the oil pan. go. So she lines up like that. There's not a whole lot of playroom. I seem to have got my exhaust pipe going in the right spot here, which is comforting. Although, yeah, it looks like it's alright. I almost feel like this pipe on the exhaust pipe is supposed to go right underneath that. I say the exhaust pipe it on the turbo. Anyway, I'm going to hold this down like this. I'm going to put some glue on there on the oil pan, get that glued in, and then where the transfer case is connecting there, so we can get our engine glued down to the chassis. A little bit of glue here, and a little bit of glue on this side. That should get her cemented in nicely. And just by kind of a fluke, I think my exhaust pipe got pushed up underneath there just as I was talking about it. Just as I was talking about it, it came up and tucked underneath there. I believe where it's supposed to be. There we go. So now I can't really put the frame down on the thing until the engine's dry, until the glue's dry. But that's it for step number 8. So we'll go back towards the front here. Step number 9. Yeah, really, step number 9 is our fuel tank. So we got to put 2 halves of our fuel tank together and then put that in on the chassis. So let's take a look here. Fuel tank, I've already painted it aluminum like it's supposed to be. Okay, our 2 halves here. And so we're going to take that piece and that piece. The drawback to painting this stuff while it's on the sprue is when you take it off, you have to touch up where the nubs were. It was connected to the sprue. Otherwise you get these little black spots. This little tab, I don't think it matters at all. I don't think this tab is going to be seen. I don't think. I don't know. Don't quote me. I could be very wrong. We'll find out. So our 2 halves got to go. We've got a guide pin up the front and back here. It's going to go like that. So fortunately this side is not going to be seen, so it doesn't matter that I didn't paint this. So that being said, I didn't paint it, but I still might. We'll see, because it does go in with this side up. Or does it? Yeah, it goes in with this side up. This is up. So this is actually upside down here. We're looking at the bottom of the chassis here. All right. So we've got to take a look at how this is going to sit. I think if I tip this over, my engine might fall out. I don't want to risk it. So unfortunately, that means I'm going to wait. So let's see what else we can do. We've got our exhaust that's supposed to go in. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to do a little test fit on this pipe here and see to make sure my exhaust pipe lines up. So let's get the pipe off the sprue. Before the glue is really cured on that, let's do a test fit, okay? Get that off of there. So this guy, I don't want to have to do this, but we're going to just let it rest on the engine. This guy is supposed to go in this side up, or yeah, this is the bottom, but it's up because that's the orientation I have. We have no guide. We've got one little pin right there that's supposed to go where? Where does that pin go? It doesn't show at all where that pin goes. So that's wonderful. And it looks like the tip of the pipes goes right here, but it doesn't. That doesn't seem to make sense. And there's a pin here, but there's no where it sits here. It just goes down inside the middle of the chassis, and there's nothing. There's nothing. We have a hole here, but there's no. Oh, maybe it's this pin here. It goes right there. There's our one and only locating pin. And they've got a channel here. How the heck does this go? Is that... This doesn't work at all. Oh yeah, it does. There we go. And we're almost lined up. We're not quite, but we're close. If I could just bend this a little bit. There we go. We're almost there. We're really close, guys. Really close. This has to be bent just a little bit, or maybe trimmed just a hair to get it to line up with this pipe. But that's where the pipe goes, and that's where it is. So there we go. This is supposed to just drop down in there like this. There's only one guide pin in the whole exhaust, and it's right there underneath the catalytic converter. And there's no other pins, there's no guide, no nothing. This was just hanging out there like this. It's possible that maybe under the bed of the truck, the rear bed, there's a hole or something under the bed that's going to connect, that exhaust pipe will connect to. Let's take a look. I'm going to grab where's the box? If I put the box on, it's going to line up like this, and it's possible. Let's just do this. It's possible that this little hole right here could be where that lines up. Feeling. So there's a little pin right here and right here. I think that's going to line up with this. Nope, that doesn't line up at all. There really is no guide, but it looks like that's exactly what it's going to be. Your exhaust pipe is going to go into that little hole right there, like that. But also, that being said, that means I can't really put this in until the bed is on. It does kind of sit in a channel right there. Something is lining it up. Although there's a little bit of play, something is lining it up on that spot. Maybe there and there is where those pins are supposed to go. Like that. Yeah, there's no play now. Right in that spot. That's where this bed is supposed to go. Right there. So I could tape this Let's do that. I'm going to tape the bed on there. Alright. It's not the best locating job, but I could put a strip down here too. Just so it's got something here. There we go. Okay. So we have a theoretical alignment tool where we could now put this exhaust through and line it up. There, it's lined up here, lined up onto that, and then this, the bed is too far forward. But it's possible that that's my fault. The thing would be just to get this lined up and just hold that in place. Our exhaust pipe doesn't quite line up. There it does. If I just leave it there, like this is where I could do it. I can work with this. Okay. So, glue on this peg. And glue right on this part. And now, feed this through. Get that into its hole. There. And you onto your exhaust pipe. Get that up there. And that's lined up. And that's where I want to leave it. And that's where we're going to let that dry. And we're going to let this sit. Okay? Now, what I need to do is maybe put a clamp on there. A very small clamp, maybe one of my little baby guys. That might work to hold that into place. Yeah, perfect. It was one of the few kits, one of the only kits really, where my exhaust pipe to the header, or you know, in this case the turbo, it's lined up and it's perfect and it fits absolutely perfectly. That is such a rare occasion. That's a unicorn of kits, I can tell you that. Now, our fuel tank has to slide down underneath this thing and then connect into there. We're going to do that next time, guys. Okay? Because I need to let this cure 100%. Okay? I got to let that just dry naturally and without any disturbance, and yeah, just let it do its thing, because that's critical. Now obviously my pipe doesn't look quite natural. I'm going to touch up this pipe that's from the forward of the catalytic converter. I'm going to touch that up with a little bit more aluminum and make it a little bit more less obvious that we've got a brand new pipe and then an old rusty one, right? So I'm just going to smooth it out and blend it in a little bit better and make it a little more natural. But that's where I'm going to leave it for today, guys. That's going to be it for now. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please, if you like this stuff, put something down and leave a comment. Leave a comment, guys. Come on, I love reading your comments. And also, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Would love to see more subscriptions. Come on, guys, help me out a little bit, right? Come on. Everybody needs some help with subscriptions. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for coming out and all the support you guys give me. You guys are really awesome. Thank you so much. We'll see you all in the next one.